Have you ever walked into a room and completely forgotten why you went there? Or blanked on someone's name just seconds after they introduced themselves? What if I told you that your memory isn't failing because you're getting older, but because you've never trained it properly? And what if I could show you a simple 50-second exercise that could start reversing memory decline as early as today? Stay with me, because what I'm about to share with you goes against everything you've probably been told about memory loss. My name is Dr. Tasuku Honjo, and I've spent over 3 decades studying the human brain, specifically how our neurons communicate and why that communication sometimes breaks down. And I'm going to be completely honest with you right from the start. The pharmaceutical industry doesn't want you to know about what I'm going to share today because there's no money in a simple exercise that you can do at home for free. But here's the truth that every neurologist knows but few will tell you. Your brain has an incredible ability to rewire itself at any age, and memory loss is not an inevitable part of aging. In fact, in many cases, it's completely reversible. Now, before you click away thinking this is going to be another one of those videos telling you to eat more blueberries or do crossword puzzles, let me be clear. What I'm about to show you is based on cutting-edge neuroscience, the same principles we use in clinical rehabilitation for stroke patients and people with traumatic brain injuries. The difference is, I'm going to show you how to apply these principles in a way that takes less than 1 minute, but can create lasting changes in how your brain stores and retrieves information. Building credibility and context. Let me start by explaining what's really happening when you experience memory problems. You see, most people think memory works like a filing cabinet. You put information in and you pull it out when you need it, but that's not how your brain works at all. Your memory is actually more like a spider web, with billions of connections firing across different regions of your brain simultaneously. Every time you remember something, you're actually reconstructing that memory from scratch, pulling together pieces from your visual cortex, your emotional centers, your language areas, and dozens of other regions. Now here's where it gets interesting. When you can't remember something, it's usually not because the memory is gone. It's because the pathways to access that memory have become weak. Think of it like a path through a forest. If you walk that path every day, it stays clear and easy to follow. But if you stop using it, the brush grows over it, and eventually, you can't see the path anymore. The path still exists, it's just hidden. This is exactly what happens with your neural pathways. The medical term for this is synaptic pruning. Your brain is incredibly efficient, and it doesn't want to waste energy maintaining connections you're not using. So when you stop actively engaging certain neural pathways, your brain essentially puts them on the back burner. The connections become weaker, the signals become slower, and retrieving memories becomes harder. But, and this is the exciting part, those connections can be reactivated and strengthened again. Introducing the problem. Now, you might be wondering why this is happening to you in the first place. Why are these pathways weakening? Well, there are several factors at play here. First, we live in a world that has essentially outsourced our memory. 20 years ago, you probably knew dozens of phone numbers by heart. Today, you probably don't even know your own children's numbers because they're all saved in your phone. Your brain has adapted to this by not prioritizing that type of information anymore. Second, we're living in a state of constant cognitive overwhelm. Your brain is processing more information in a single day than your grandparents processed in a month. Between emails, social media, news alerts, streaming services, and everything else competing for your attention, your brain is in a perpetual state of what we call shallow processing. You're skimming the surface of everything, but deeply encoding nothing. And deep encoding is essential for long-term memory formation. Third, and this is the one most people don't realize, we've stopped using our brain's natural memory systems. For millions of years, human survival depended on spatial memory, pattern recognition, and sequential learning. We had to remember where we found food, how to get back home, which plants were poisonous, and countless other details. Our brains evolved sophisticated systems for this. But modern life doesn't require these systems anymore. You have GPS, Google, and countless other tools that do the remembering for you. So these ancient, powerful memory systems have started to atrophy. The science behind the solution. This brings me to what I call the neuroplastic reset, and it's the foundation of the 50-second exercise I'm going to teach you. Neuroplasticity is your brain's ability to form new neural connections and reorganize existing ones. For a long time, scientists believed that neuroplasticity only occurred during childhood, that once you reached adulthood, your brain was essentially fixed. But research over the past 2 decades has completely shattered that myth. Your brain can create new neural pathways and strengthen existing ones at any age from 18 to 108. The key is knowing how to trigger this process. You see, your brain changes in response to specific types of stimulation. Random mental activity doesn't create lasting change. You need focused, intentional engagement that activates multiple brain systems simultaneously. This is why crossword puzzles and brain training apps have such limited effects. They typically only engage 1 or 2 brain regions in isolation. To create real, lasting change in your memory systems, you need an exercise that engages your spatial processing, your motor cortex, your visual system, and your executive function all at the same time, while also introducing a level of challenge that forces your brain to adapt. Now, I've tested various protocols with my patients, and I've found that the sweet spot for this type of exercise is between 45 and 60 seconds. Any shorter, and you don't create enough neural activation. Any longer, and cognitive fatigue starts to reduce effectiveness, especially when you're first starting out. 50 seconds is the perfect duration to maximize neuroplastic response while maintaining the quality of engagement. Revealing the exercise. So let me tell you exactly what this exercise is and why it works so powerfully. I call it the spatial sequence reset, and it combines elements of spatial navigation, working memory, and cross-lateral brain activation. Here's how it works. You're going to use your finger to trace invisible patterns in the air in front of you, but you're going to do it in a very specific way. Start by extending your dominant hand in front of you at shoulder height. Now, imagine there's a tic-tac-toe grid floating in the air about 2 feet in front of your face. This grid has 9 positions, 3 across and 3 down. What you're going to do is trace a path through these 9 positions in a specific sequence. But here's the key. You're going to trace the sequence backwards from how I give it to you, and you're going to do it while saying the sequence out loud in the correct forward order. Let me break this down because I know that might sound confusing at first. I'm going to give you a sequence of numbers from 1 to 9. Each number corresponds to a position on your imaginary grid. Position 1 is top left, 2 is top middle, 3 is top right, 4 is middle left, 5 is dead center, 6 is middle right, 7 is bottom left, 8 is bottom middle, and 9 is bottom right. Got it? Good. Here's your sequence. 3, 7, 2, 6, 1, 9, 4, 8, 5. Now, you're going to trace this path with your finger in reverse order, starting with 5 and ending with 3, but as you trace each position, you're going to say the numbers in the correct forward order. So you'll point to position 5 while saying 3, then point to position 8 while saying 7, then position 4 while saying 2, and so on. This creates what we call cognitive load, forcing your working memory, spatial processing, and motor coordination to all work together while fighting against each other. Your brain has to hold the visual sequence, reverse it for motor output, and maintain the verbal sequence separately. This simultaneous multisystem activation is what triggers the neuroplastic response. Do this exercise for 50 seconds. That means you'll go through the sequence approximately 3 times depending on your pace, and I want you to do this twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening, for the next 30 days. Why this works. Deeper explanation. Now let me explain exactly what's happening in your brain when you do this exercise, because understanding the mechanism will help you appreciate why something so simple can be so powerful. When you perform the spatial sequence reset, you're activating your hippocampus, which is the brain's primary memory formation center. But you're not just activating it passively, like when you try to remember where you put your keys. You're activating it in conjunction with your parietal lobe, which handles spatial processing, your motor cortex, which controls movement, your prefrontal cortex, which manages working memory and executive function, and your language centers, which process the verbal component. This multi-region activation creates what neuroscientists call a Hebbian response, named after Donald Hebb, who said neurons that fire together wire together. By forcing these different brain regions to work together in a coordinated way, you're strengthening the connections between them. And because memory retrieval requires coordination between these same regions, you're essentially training the exact neural networks that support memory function. But there's another crucial element at play here. The exercise introduces what we call desirable difficulty. Your brain doesn't change in response to things that are easy. It changes in response to challenges that are just beyond your current comfort level. By making you reverse the spatial sequence while maintaining the verbal sequence, the exercise creates a level of difficulty that forces your brain to build new strategies and stronger pathways. As you practice, you'll notice it gets easier. That's not just because you're memorizing this particular sequence, it's because you're fundamentally strengthening your brain's ability to encode, store, and retrieve information. There's also a cross-lateral component that's important here. When you trace patterns in space in front of you, especially patterns that cross the midline of your body, you're forcing communication between your brain's left and right hemispheres. This interhemispheric communication is essential for memory consolidation. Studies have shown that people with stronger corpus callosum, that's the bridge of nerve fibers connecting the two hemispheres, tend to have better memory performance. This exercise strengthens those connections. Additional benefits and variations. Beyond improving your memory, you're going to notice several other cognitive benefits from this practice. First, your processing speed is going to improve. You'll find yourself thinking more quickly and making decisions faster. This happens because you're increasing the myelination of your neural pathways. Myelin is the insulating sheath that surrounds nerve fibers, and it makes signals travel faster. Challenging cognitive exercise promotes myelination. Second, your ability to focus and resist distraction will improve. The executive function component of this exercise strengthens your prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for attention control. Many of my patients report that after just 2 weeks of consistent practice, they can concentrate on tasks for longer periods without their mind wandering. Third, you might notice improvements in your spatial awareness and coordination. This is a nice side benefit of the spatial processing component. Some of my older patients have told me they feel more confident navigating new places and less likely to get disoriented. Now, once you've mastered the basic exercise and it starts to feel too easy, usually after about 2 to 3 weeks, you can progress to more advanced variations. You can increase the grid size to 16 positions in a 4x4 pattern. You can change the sequence every few days to prevent pure memorization. You can even do the exercise with your non-dominant hand, which creates additional cross-lateral activation. The key is to always maintain that sweet spot of desirable difficulty, challenging but not so hard that you get frustrated and give up. Supporting your memory recovery. Now, while this 50-second exercise is incredibly powerful on its own, I want to give you a few additional strategies that will accelerate your results. Think of these as supporting players that help the main exercise work even better. First, you need to address sleep. Memory consolidation happens primarily during sleep, especially during deep sleep and REM sleep. If you're only getting 5 or 6 hours of poor quality sleep, you're essentially trying to fill a bucket with a hole in the bottom. The exercise will create new memories and strengthen pathways, but without adequate sleep, those changes won't be consolidated into long-term memory. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep per night. Keep your bedroom cool, dark, and quiet. Avoid screens for at least an hour before bed. These basics make a massive difference. Second, you need to move your body. Physical exercise increases production of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, or BDNF, which is like fertilizer for your brain. It promotes the growth of new neurons and the formation of new synaptic connections. You don't need to run marathons. Even a 30-minute walk 5 days a week will significantly increase your BDNF levels and enhance the neuroplastic effects of the memory exercise. Third, you need to challenge your brain in diverse ways throughout the day. Learn a new skill, take a different route to work, brush your teeth with your non-dominant hand, try cooking a new recipe without looking at the instructions multiple times. These novel experiences create new neural pathways and keep your brain in a growth state. Combine this general neural enrichment with the specific targeted practice of the 50-second exercise, and you create a powerful synergy. Fourth, pay attention to your nutrition. Your brain is about 2% of your body weight, but uses about 20% of your energy. It needs proper fuel. Omega-3 fatty acids found in fish, walnuts, and flaxseed are essential for neural membrane health. Antioxidants found in colorful fruits and vegetables protect your neurons from oxidative stress. B vitamins, especially B12, B6, and folate, are crucial for neurotransmitter production. You don't need expensive supplements. Just eat a varied diet with plenty of whole foods, and you'll give your brain what it needs. Addressing common concerns. Now, I know some of you might be skeptical. You might be thinking this sounds too simple to actually work, or you might have tried other memory exercises in the past that didn't deliver results. Let me address these concerns directly. The reason this exercise works when other approaches fail is specificity and intensity. Most memory training is either too general, like being told to stay mentally active, or too narrow, like memorizing lists of words. This exercise targets the specific neural networks involved in memory function with the precise level of challenge needed to trigger adaptation. It's the difference between randomly moving your body and following a structured workout program designed by an expert. Some of you might also be worried that your memory problems are too severe for a simple exercise to help. Maybe you've been diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment, or you have a family history of dementia, and you're scared that nothing can stop the decline. I want to be clear about something. This exercise is not a cure for Alzheimer's disease or other forms of dementia. If you have a diagnosed neurodegenerative condition, you need proper medical care. But even in those cases, cognitive exercise can slow decline and improve quality of life. And for the vast majority of you experiencing normal age-related memory changes or stress-related cognitive fog, this exercise can create remarkable improvements. You might also wonder how long it takes to see results. This varies from person to person, but most of my patients report noticeable improvements within 1 to 2 weeks. You might find yourself remembering names more easily, or walking into a room and actually remembering why you went there, or recalling details from conversations that you would have previously forgotten. These small wins build momentum. By the 30-day mark, most people experience significant improvements that are obvious not just to them, but to the people around them. Real-world application. Let me tell you about one of my patients to illustrate how powerful this can be. Her name was Margaret, and she came to me at age 67, absolutely terrified that she was developing dementia. She'd forgotten her grandson's birthday, couldn't remember the name of her book club selection, and had gotten lost driving to a friend's house she'd visited dozens of times. Her doctor had run tests and found nothing wrong medically, but she was convinced her brain was failing her. I taught her the spatial sequence reset, and I'll be honest, she was skeptical. She thought it seemed silly, too simple to make a difference, but she committed to doing it twice a day for 30 days. After just 1 week, she called me to say she'd remembered all her grandchildren's birthdays without checking her calendar. After 2 weeks, she reported feeling sharper during conversations, able to follow complex discussions without losing track. By the end of 30 days, she told me she felt like she'd gotten 10 years back. Now, Margaret's results aren't unique. I've seen similar improvements in hundreds of patients. But here's what's important to understand. The exercise works, but only if you actually do it consistently. This is not a magic pill. You can't do it once and expect your memory to transform. You need to commit to the practice, 50 seconds in the morning and 50 seconds in the evening, for at least 30 days. Mark it in your calendar. Set reminders on your phone. Whatever you need to do to make it a non-negotiable part of your routine. Closing and call to action. I want you to imagine what your life will be like 30 days from now when you can remember names effortlessly, when you can walk into a room with clear purpose, when you can recall details from conversations and books without struggling, when you feel confident in your mind instead of worried about decline. That future is not only possible, it's probable if you commit to this practice starting today. Your brain is not a static organ slowly deteriorating with age. It's a dynamic, adaptable system capable of remarkable change at any stage of life. Every time you do this 50-second exercise, you're sending a signal to your brain that says, we're not done growing, we're not done improving, we're not accepting decline as inevitable. And your brain responds to that signal by building stronger connections, faster pathways, and more resilient memory systems. So here's what I want you to do right now. Before you move on to the next video or get distracted by something else, I want you to try the exercise once. Stand up if you can, extend your hand in front of you, visualize that tic-tac-toe grid, and trace the sequence I gave you earlier. 3, 7, 2, 6, 1, 9, 4, 8, 5. Trace it backwards while saying it forwards. Do it for 50 seconds. Notice how it feels. Notice the concentration it requires. That feeling of mental effort is your brain building new pathways. If this video has given you value, if you can see how this exercise might help you or someone you love, do me a favor and share it. Memory problems are affecting millions of people who think decline is inevitable, who don't know that simple science-based exercises can create real change. You might change someone's life by sharing this information. And if you want more content like this, practical neuroscience-based strategies that you can implement immediately to improve your brain health, make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. I'm committed to translating complex brain science into simple practices that anyone can use, and I have many more exercises and strategies to share with you. Your memory is not failing. It's waiting to be reactivated. Starting today, you have the tool to make that happen. 50 seconds, twice a day, for 30 days. That's all it takes to start recovering the sharp, reliable memory you thought was gone forever. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we'll talk about the #1 nutrient your brain is probably deficient in and how to fix it quickly. Take care of that beautiful brain of yours.